Live look to Parliament Hill this morning, where for months there's been speculation that former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney would be joining the Liberal cabinet. His name has even been floated as a potential successor to Justin Trudeau if the Prime Minister were to step aside. But a new poll from Nanos Research conducted for the Globe and Mail says the Trudeau government may not benefit from Carney being in cabinet. Joining me now to discuss is Nik Nanos, the founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research. Hi there, Nik. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Marcia.
Tell us more about what you found when it comes to Canadians' opinions and favorability of the Prime Minister this summer.
Well, you know, it's interesting. We tested on 3 individuals and whether people had positive or negative impressions of those 3 individuals. So those included Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney, and Chrystia Freeland. Chrystia Freeland being the Minister of Finance, Mark Carney being an individual that at least there's been some speculation as to Justin Trudeau trying to recruit him to come into cabinet, potentially even as Minister of Finance. And, you know, the thing is that what's interesting is that when we ask Canadians, you know, which of the potential candidates for the leadership of the Liberal Party would be most appealing, Justin Trudeau comes in at 9%, hasn't really changed much over the last while. None of the above, actually, Marcia, quite popular currently, as is unsure. Mark Carney comes in at 18 and Chrystia Freeland at 12. So, you know, we're in a situation where, you know, Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland do score better in terms of political appeal, but a significant proportion of Canadians either say none of the above or outright say that they're unsure who would be the most appealing as a potential leader of the Liberal Party of Canada.
So if Carney were to join cabinet, potentially as the finance minister, would it change the Liberals' fortunes? Would it change the way Canadians view the Liberals right now?
Yeah, not likely. And the survey that we did with the Globe and Mail that was just released this morning, we asked Canadians whether the impact of Mark Carney kind of coming on board would make the Liberals more competitive, less competitive, or whether there'd be no impact. 39% of Canadians said no impact. Another 24% were unsure. 29% believed that a Mark Carney addition to the Liberal mix would make the Liberals more competitive, and 8% less competitive. So, you know, the reality is a significant proportion. The most popular response is that it would have no impact on the political fortunes of the Liberals. The other thing, Marcia, that's interesting, that 29% of Canadians who think that he would make the Liberals more competitive is kind of about the same number as Liberal support almost. So it will likely motivate Liberals, but as part of a growth strategy, it's still up in the air right now.
Speaking of growth, have you really seen, Nik, much change in the polls from, say, a year ago? How are the Liberals doing compared to the Conservatives?
Well, a year ago last August is when Pierre Poilievre started pulling away from the federal Liberals. By the end of the month, he had a double-digit advantage. And, you know, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have ridden that double-digit advantage basically for the last 12 months. Nothing that the Liberals have done has moved the numbers. The budget hasn't moved the numbers. State visits haven't moved the numbers. Announcements and spending hasn't moved the numbers. And, you know, doesn't matter what happens, it seems like right now the trend consistently favors Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, and that they're enjoying a double-digit lead anywhere from 15 to 20 percentage points over the Liberals.
So bottom line on your polling, what do you think the solve is for the Liberals?
Well, you know, adding Mark Carney to the mix would make the Liberals feel better, but it's not a gimme in terms of a winning or a growth strategy. So perhaps it's a step in the right direction for a party that's trailing the Conservatives, but we shouldn't, no one should hold up any hopes that this would be a massive game changer.
Good to see you today. Nik Nanos is the founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research.